Anime give you epic fights. Now some anime gives you deep storytelling. And then there's the anime that gives you emotional trauma so powerful that 20 years later, the internet is still fighting over it. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Rocker Viking Reviews, and today we're talking about Fullmetal Alchemist. Specifically, Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. The anime adaptation that turned Hiromu Arakawa's legendary manga into one of the greatest anime series ever made. This story has everything. It has philosophy, political intrigue, war crimes, magic powered by science, and two brothers trying to undo the worst mistake of their lives. But it also contains one of the most disturbing moments in anime history. And if you've seen Brotherhood already, you most likely know exactly what I'm talking about. A man named Shou Tucker, his innocent daughter Nina, and their innocent dog Alexander, and a moment so terrifying that anime fans still jokingly call it childhood PTSD. So today on the channel, we're diving into the incredible artwork of Hiromu Arakawa, the tragic journey of the Elric brothers, and why Brotherhood is the definitive adaptation and the moment that emotionally destroyed an entire fan base. This is Fullmetal Alchemist. Action, trauma, and the cost of equivalent exchange. Let's get into it. And now, before Brotherhood, and before the memes, and before everyone collectively agreeing that Roy Mustang is the coolest man alive, there was the manga. Fullmetal Alchemist was created by Hiromu Arakawa, which ran from 2001 to 2010. And that's one hell of a run. And from the very beginning, as you can obviously see, the artwork stood out. Arakawa's style has this perfect balance between gritty and expressive. The thing is, characters can look intense and dramatic during battle 1 minute, and then 5 seconds later look like absolute cartoon goblins when they're embarrassed. Especially Edward, because Edward has two traits. Well, two defining character traits. One, he's the most brilliant alchemist in the world. And number two, if you call him short, he will absolutely lose his freaking mind. And the manga never misses a chance to roast him for it. But beyond the humor, Arakawa's artwork shines in its detail and energy. And if you've read the manga and seen the anime, the alchemy circles are intricate to the story. The battle choreography flows beautifully. And the character designs, from the homunculi to the military officers, are instantly recognizable. But the real strength of the manga isn't just the art. It's the story itself. And Fullmetal Alchemist is ultimately a story about consequences. Which leads us to... At the heart of this story are two brothers, Edward and Alphonse Elric. Two young prodigies who grew up studying alchemy under their loving mother. But after their mother dies, the brothers attempt the ultimate forbidden act, human transmutation. And they believe they can bring her back. After all alchemy is built on one simple rule: equivalent exchange. To obtain something of equal value must be lost. But they quickly learn the truth. Some things cannot be brought back. Now, the ritual fails catastrophically. Edward loses his leg, and Alphonse loses his body. Now, even though you can see it in this panel, something else happened too. In desperation, Ed sacrifices his arm to bind his brother's soul to a suit of armor. And that moment defines their own entire journey. Edward becomes the youngest state alchemist in history and the title of the Fullmetal Alchemist. Not for glory, not for power, but for one reason and one reason only: to find the Philosopher's Stone. No, not that one. The one thing that might restore their bodies fully. Now, here's a piece of anime history for you that might interest you. The original Fullmetal Alchemist anime came out in 2003. And it started airing while the manga was still being written. So eventually, the anime itself had to create its own ending. Not like with Rurouni Kenshin with the filler arcs. They didn't go full filler. They literally had to create their own ending because Arakawa was still writing the manga. And while it had some great ideas, it was very different from the original idea. That's why Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, which was released in 2009, is so beloved. Now, this version follows the manga almost perfectly. The pacing is tighter, the action scenes were bigger, the animation was better, and the world building became massive. And you start realizing that the entire country of Amestris is built on secrets, military conspiracies, ancient alchemy, and a plan that has been unfolding for generations. A government that's hiding secrets. That sounds familiar. And along the way, we meet some of the most iconic characters in anime and manga. First, we have Roy Mustang. He is the flame alchemist with a lighter and a revenge list. So pretty much John Wick if he was a firebender. Now we have Riza Hawkeye, the sniper who keeps Mustang from burning the entire world. down. And has very unorthodox potty training methods for dogs. And of course, we have Scar, who is literally the walking embodiment of revenge. And of course, we have the homunculi, artificial humans or immortal beings representing humanity's darkest sins, including lust, greed, wrath, and envy. And of course, you have sloth, gluttony, and pride in there as well. Yeah, each one terrifying in their own way. But none of them are as disturbing as what happens in episode 4 of the anime. Yeah, I'm talking about... if you've watched Fullmetal Alchemist, and I'm talking about both versions of the anime, you already know what's coming. Edward and Al meet a state alchemist by the name of Shou Tucker, who is known as the Sowing Life Alchemist. He became famous for creating a chimera who could talk, which is considered a promising breakthrough. Now, he seems strange, but he's polite. His young daughter Nina is incredibly sweet. A real sweetheart. And she quickly becomes friends with the brothers. And she's almost always playing with her good boy, Alexander. Everything is normal. It feels normal. Comfortable. Wholesome. Until that day. Now, when Tucker reveals his newest experiment, another talking chimera, something feels off. Very, very unsettling. The creature speaks very slowly. Then it said something that sent chills down your spine, especially mine, especially when I watched the episode. And it was in that moment that everything clicked. Shou Tucker didn't create a chimera. He fused his daughter with her dog. All to save his fucking research funding. And the reason why he still had it? Because 2 years earlier, he did the same thing to his wife. That's right, his wife was turned into a talking chimera just like he did to his daughter, making him one of anime's biggest villains, or surprise villains. And it's one of the most horrifying reveals in anime history. There's no flashy fight. There's no heroic rescue. Just a quiet realization that this man sacrificed his own family for his own career. I heard of, doing shit like that in the real world to get ahead, but that's just too fucking far. Even today, If you mention Nina Tucker to anime fans, everyone instantly knows this scene that I just played for you and wishes the worst fate on this man. And also, everyone instantly agrees on one thing. Shou Tucker is one of the worst and most hated characters in anime history. Also, to the ones whose hot takes are that he did nothing wrong, I have a special message for you. I hope you step on multiple clear Legos, proceed to face a cactus, and I hope both sides of your pillow is hot to the touch when you go to sleep at night. This man is a monster. He killed his wife, and he did the same thing to his daughter and her good boy. He did nothing wrong. Man, what in the hell are you smoking? Now, moments like the Tucker incident aren't just there for shock value, though. They show the literal dark side of alchemy, the consequences of treating life like a science fair project. And Fullmetal Alchemist constantly asks a powerful question. What is a human life worth? Is it knowledge, power, progress? Or is there a line that should never be crossed? And throughout their journey, Edward and Alphonse are constantly confronted with that question. War crimes, human experimentation, government corruption, and the terrifying truth about the Philosopher's Stone itself. Again, not that Philosopher's Stone. Now, every step of the story forces the brothers to confront the cost of their actions and what it truly means to be human. Now, Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood, the manga, and the anime, is one of those rare stories that does everything right. The action is incredible. The characters are unforgettable, with one of them being unforgivable. The story is powerful, and the emotional moments hit harder than a Mustang flame blast. It's funny, heartbreaking, and as you've seen a moment ago, genuinely disturbing. But it's because of that is why it still stands as one of the greatest stories ever made into anime. Because it reminds us that even in a world full of alchemy and monsters, the real question isn't how much power you have. It's what you're willing to sacrifice for it. But what do you guys think? Is Fullmetal Alchemist one of the greatest anime ever made? And were you also emotionally scarred by the Nina Tucker scene in that episode? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this deep dive, make sure to like and subscribe and turn on your notifications for future videos. And I also want to give a shout out to the Anime Collective for stills from her collection of the Fullmetal Alchemist manga. You rock, by the way. You're the reason why I collected most of the manga. Well, I haven't collected these yet, but I have read it. You're the reason why most of the manga on my shelf is full of it. I also want to shout out to TeePublic for this very provocative shirt of Nina and Alexander doing the fusion dance. And I give a shout out to the artist who designed this. You guys rock. But until next time, this is AJ with Rocker Viking Reviews, and I will see you guys in the next video. Stay legendary, everybody.